Hello and welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video. Myself and Marto. As always, I'm here with the latest news from the tech world. Apologies for my croaky voice, still not 100%. We have quite a bit of news to get through today, and we are also going to have quite a bit for you tomorrow as well. We've got something exciting stuff planned, but we're going to start things off with some very interesting comments from Intel about the latest series of Ryzen. So one of the things you may have noticed across all the reviews and everything that we've had ever since Ryzen 3000 released is the issue of the boost clocks and how they weren't quite hitting what AMD have actually said in all their marketing and everything like that. And now Intel have actually basically noticed this as well and pointed out that on the AIDA64 database, you can see for yourself that they are just not reaching the boost frequencies that AMD have said. So you can see for yourself the image that Intel have released, but basically we even have the well-known overclocker DeBauer basically trying to find out exactly what highest frequency people, everyday people like you and I who are actually using these CPUs on a daily basis are actually reaching. So basically, let me know in the comments what, if you have any of these CPUs, any of the Ryzen 3000 CPUs, what boost frequency you're actually hitting versus what AMD promised. And it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens there. And obviously we're talking about the boost frequency, which is the highest frequency possible. And obviously there's always going to be the silicon lottery issue and all that sort of thing, as well as a bunch of other variables like cooling, airflow and the rest of your system, which also should be taken into consideration. So there's a lot of variables which could change this, but be interesting to see if AMD respond to these comments from Intel. But speaking of Intel, we actually have a listing for a i9-9900T pop up on Geekbench. And if that name strikes a bell, a very faint bell somewhere in the back of your mind, it's because, well, it actually was doing the rounds back in January as it was originally uncovered by the guys over at techpowerup.com, but it has shown itself once more on Geekbench 4. Now, initial specs for this were basically 1.7 GHz boost and a 1 to 2 core turbo boost of 3.8. However, we actually see different specifications being shown on the Geekbench screenshot, which is on the screen. So, we still have 35 watt TDP that we saw initially, but we see a much more interesting base clock of 2.1 GHz and 4.4 for the boost, and I'm sure we can all agree that is a very, very nice improvement indeed. For those of you who missed the initial kerfuffle surrounding this, this is an 8-core 16-thread part, and it does have 16 megabytes of cache as well, and it also has Intel UHD graphics 630. So again, still got the 35 watt TDP, and you can see the single core and multi-core score for yourself. And we also have some comments here on the pricing as well, which is going to be $439. Still, really nice to see that we've seen such a significant improvement before release. Just goes to show you how important it is that we stress that when we see an early sample, early results, that they are indeed those engineering samples or whatever, because you just don't know the last minute optimizations that the company are going to make, and this is a perfect example of exactly that. We have seen significant increases here. So we're going to move over now to a couple of pieces of console related news, the first of which is regarding Microsoft. So as I said to you the other day, Gamescom is currently underway. It's pretty much the last, or one of the last, big gaming events of the year, and I will be doing a big roundup of everything revealed after it's actually finished. It's on for another day or so, I believe. But regardless, one of the things that Microsoft announced at the conference was that the Xbox and PC exclusives are in the Blind Forest will be coming to Nintendo Switch. So previously it was exclusive to PC and of course Xbox as well. But although Microsoft are obviously bringing this game, which is very well suited to the Switch, I might you ask, to that platform, it seems Microsoft are still not going to go willy-nilly just giving out exclusives. They are going to be holding on to the few exclusives that they have. As I've discussed many times, it is a little bit of a meme at this point. The exclusives that they have are quite few, so it's not surprising they want to hold on to the ones that they have as much as they can. So what did they actually have to say? Well, they were speaking to gamesindustry.biz, and Microsoft said, quote, "The past year has been an exciting time for us as we have more than doubled the internal creative teams making up Xbox Game Studios. As these new studios transitioned in, we were aware of some existing commitments to other platforms and will honour them. However, going forward, these new studios will focus on making games for our platforms. We have no plans to further expand our exclusive first-party games to other consoles. We continue to believe deeply in cross-play and progression of games, with the right flexibility for developers to ensure a fair and fun experiences. So, they've made pretty clear their plans there, I'd say, and I have to agree, they have not been messing around when it comes to the amount of studios they've been acquiring. As I said, Phil Spencer has not been shy about their plans to really expand their first-party lineup. They know that they kind of dropped the ball a little bit in comparison to the PS4 this generation, and once again, Microsoft not exactly crying, collecting pennies on the street because of the Xbox One. They obviously pretty much didn't put up much of a fight at all against the PS4 this gen, and they would like to avoid the same thing happening again. And as I've said before, having the shiniest specs and everything is great, but what people really want is lots and lots of fun games to play. So I think Microsoft are definitely smart to keep hold of the exclusives that they do have, but I will say, very glad to see Ori come out on other platforms because it is an amazing game, and the Switch is a great fit for it. But speaking of the Switch, we actually have an interesting leak from GameStop. Now, we've been talking a lot lately about an upgraded Switch. Of course, we have the mini one coming out, which is rather cool, but we have seen a screenshot surface online from Twitter, I believe from a user by the name of Sabby, basically shows various SKUs, which shows a huge amount of SKUs, which is very, very interesting. Now, I highly doubt each of these is a new version of the Switch. It could just be different colours of the same one or something like that, but regardless of the pedantics of that, what we do have is new SKUs being listed. So the most interesting thing we can take away from this is the release date, which is 31st of December 2019, and if Nintendo were planning on releasing an upgraded version of the Switch, Christmas would obviously be a perfect time for it. Now, obviously the 31st is most likely to be a placeholder. If this was to come out around that time, it probably would be sort of late October, November time, which is the sort of premium slot for pre-Christmas. But the main question is, how many SKUs are we actually going to see? Is it going to be one? Is it going to be two? I think one or two is most likely. We're not going to see the sort of 10 or so that we see here. That would just be crazy. But either way, it seems that Nintendo are planning on releasing something new around Christmas time. Unfortunately, we can all but speculate what this actually is. It could literally be anything. It could be a Pikachu-shaped Switch for all we know. We literally know nothing other than the fact that these allegedly exist. Obviously, the source for this is not the best quality image, so as per normal, until we get a confirmation from Nintendo, take this with a pinch of salt. But I will not be surprised to get a Nintendo Direct at some point soon detailing exactly what is going on with Nintendo's plans for the Switch. But I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Would you actually be down for yet another version of the Switch? Obviously, Nintendo are not shy when it comes to releasing multiple versions of the same console, so will not even be outside of their remit. But let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.